there's usually not a good reason to be baptized twice. Baptism in its meaning is you're somebody who has said yes to Jesus, and you say, Jesus, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Baptism is the first thing that Jesus says you should do. And baptism is kind of a once-in-a-life symbolic gesture. It's you saying, God, I want to be so obedient to you that I'll do whatever you say. And he says, the first thing I want you to do is an act that is symbolic of cleansing. So going down in the water and coming back out, water is cleansing. And it's also symbolic of participating with Jesus in his death and resurrection. It's the idea that the old has gone and the new has come. Communion is different than baptism in that communion is something that is a perpetual ordinance that we do over and over again. Baptism is a once-in-a-lifetime ordinance. Now, you might notice that I said, in general, there's not a reason to do it twice. There is an exception to that we talk about from time to time here at Christ Community, and that is if you were not a believer when you were baptized. Now, a little bit of background on this. Churches have two different kinds of teaching on baptism. There are some churches that are infant baptism churches or baby baptism churches, and they say, hey, you should baptize your kids when they're babies right away, and they have various reasons for this. Some it's about the covenant community, some it's about salvation, but they say, let's go ahead and baptize babies. Now, these folks, just so you know, are not heretics. We don't practice this at Christ Community, but we do have fellowship with these folks, and we love them and affirm them and think they're amazing believers that we'll be in heaven with. At Christ Community, we decide not to baptize babies, but to baptize believers. Here's the bottom line reason why. That's what the Bible teaches. The Bible, every example of somebody who comes or who gets baptized is somebody who already has believed in Jesus. There's not one example of anybody in the Bible who is a baby and got baptized. Instead, it's people who are believers. So we're following the model of the Bible. Further, there's never a command in the Bible that a baby should be baptized. Only command is that baptism happens after belief. So the pattern and the commands in the Bible are believe first, baptize second. It's a marker that God has already done his salvific work in your life. He's already saved you, and baptism is one of those markers in your life that indicates, yes, I've already placed my faith in Jesus. So getting back to the original question is there a time when we would say, hey, you should be baptized a second time? It would be if you were baptized as a non-believer, and infants are by definition non-believers, or if you are a non-believer for any other section, you've come to faith in Jesus, and now you want to be baptized as a believer, we would say, yes, that makes sense if you were not a believer the first time you were baptized. In fact, that's my story. My parents were Presbyterians. They loved Jesus. They wanted me to get baptized as an infant because that's the way our church did it. I was baptized as a baby. I got to be 19 years old and started studying baptism, and I realized, the Bible teaches that baptism is for believers, and so I got baptized as a believer, and we would encourage people to do that as well. If you're somebody who is not a believer when you were baptized, that you would be baptized as a believer.